What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ramblings from the Warp. As always, it's going to be myself, Kyle, and Christian. Say hi to everybody, guys.
What up, dice rollers? How y'all doing today?
How's it going, everybody?
So, it's been a little bit of time since we did our first episode because we're still kind of new at this and kind of figuring it out. So, since we last talked, there's been a lot of drops, a lot of information coming out about Horus Heresy, and I want to talk about it. I'm going to forewarn everybody right now, even you guys, Kyle, Christian. There are a couple things about this I'm not thrilled about. I'm going to stay cautiously optimistic because Heresy's still my jam. But there are a couple of things that have me a little bit unsettled. So I'm going to let you guys choose where we start. We can either start with the new weapons rules that have dropped. We can start with the army composition rules that dropped. Or we can talk about the ridiculous information that came out about Saturnines.
Well, considering how almost every time GW makes a new spin on the game or a new edition, it's always the charts that change dramatically, and that's where people usually start first. So I vote we start there first.
Kyle, you want to start with army composition?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So originally in Heresy 2.0, we had HQs, elites, troops, fast attacks, heavy supports. Your HQs were your HQs and so on and so forth. Your elites were like your really crazy units like Invictari for Ultramarines or Sockmet Terminators for Thousand Suns, things like that, right? The new structure differs wildly from 2.0. So 2.0, we had a couple of things that were kind of the checks and balances of list building. We had the Crusade Detachment, where you had to bring one HQ choice and you had to bring two compulsory troop choices. Everyone who's new to Horus Heresy hates this. Everybody who jumps from another game to Horus Heresy, whether it be 40k, whether it be War Machine Hordes, whether it be Bolt Action, whether it be, any other tabletop game. When people jumped into Heresy 1.0 or 2.0, they were always like, why do I have to bring two compulsory troops? What is a compulsory troop? We used to call this the troop tax, right? So for every army you made, I knew for a fact you're going to have one base HQ and two burned either points into tactical squads or assault squads or despoilers, something like that, right? The new Crusade Detachment does not have HQs. Instead, there is high command, troops, and then transports. Now, I can't stress this enough how really cool but really confusing this was for me. It appears as though transports no longer require you to take them with a unit. Like, I can just take a Rhino. This could be wrong, but reading what they've leaked, I can just take transports. You can take a Rhino without someone in it. Whereas in current Heresy, as you guys know, like if you buy a squad, you can purchase a Rhino as an upgrade. That's gone. Apparently, according to this, you can just take Rhinos. What's cool that I like about this is now you have special detachments that you can take. So your first initial Crusade force is one high command, 3 commands, 4 troops, and 4 transports. But you can take additional detachments like an Armored Fist. Armored Fists allows you to take more things like Land Raiders and light transports. You can do tactical support, which gives you additional troop slots and slots for heavy weapon squads and apothecaries, which you guys already know I'm going to be excited about. if I get to bring more heavy weapons, dude, I'm gonna skip down the fucking yellow brick road.
So, just to also clarify so people know, as Gabe is talking about these, this is kind of also the first time me and Kyle are actually looking at this with y'all. So our reaction, hopefully, is like you guys listening's reaction. This is our somewhat first time here. We heard about the command structure, but we really didn't know what all that entailed from like the new verbiage, as you will, that Gabe's probably about to tell us about.
Yeah, you guys are taking this blind.
Yeah.
Which I'm gonna tell you, I am impressed that we've gotten this far into the leaks and you guys haven't actually read them.
I like to live a spoiler for your life. Leave me alone.
I'm trying to learn about them as so y'all get my raw natural reaction, because as you're reading and telling us this, I'm already disliking it. Not from a gameplay wise, not from how it's gonna play out. I just don't like that every edition GW somehow decides to change the verbiage of everything we know. Why couldn't we just leave it fast attack? Why couldn't we just leave it heavy and stuff like that? Make subcategories in it.
I think that you're going to. I think that opinion, that sentiment, is going to be echoed across majority of the veteran Horus Heresy players. A lot of the guys who have played Heresy for a while. I've played Heresy longer than our friend group has, but there are a lot of guys who've been playing Heresy for over a decade, right? Heresy 1.0, Heresy 2.0, and now we're going into 3.0. A lot of guys are not going to like this structure because, one, you're right. It changed the verbiage. Even from 1.0 to 2.0, they still kept HQ, troops, elites, fast attack, heavy support. They kept that, and then they kept Lords of War, right? This new one, they renamed everything and they reclassified everything. And I think what it is it was a knee-jerk reaction from Games Workshop to say, hey, we need to fix the structure, because I think it comes down to like the restaurant idea, right? So when you go to a restaurant and you're looking at the reviews, who looks at the positive reviews, right? Nobody. Everyone wants to look at the reviews and see like, okay, what's the worst experience out there? So the worst experiences in Heresy 2.0 were Dreadnought spam, tanks weren't viable, and there was some, I won't say abuse, but there was some very liberal use of certain reactions and abilities, right? I think in reclassifying some of the slots, having combat pioneers now instead of scouts, having first strike as one of your detachments, having heavy supports or shock assault, having these different detachments that they're putting out, and I'll get into this part, but changing how the organization works was meant to, I guess, be a tool for balancing. But I think they missed the mark a little bit. I agree with you. I feel like it was a lot of extras for the wrong crowd service. I feel, at least, that everyone I've talked to and a lot of the friends I interact with will tell you, you're like, hey, we liked 2.0, we liked 1.0, we liked the detachments, we liked the way it all worked, we like how Rite of Wars could modify it. That's where my concern comes in, because right now in 2.0, Rite of Wars modify what you can take as compulsory troops, what you can take as troops, what you can take as fast attack, how many fast attacks you can take. It looks like they put that into the detachment side. So like, I can take a primary detachment and I can take an auxiliary detachment called Armored Fist. Armored Fist lets me bring 4 more transports and 4 more tanks. I can take armored support, which lets me bring 4 more predators per se, right? And I don't know if that is them trying to make things viable, because tanks weren't viable in 2.0. Squadrons were kind of a trap where you could lose all your tanks in one lucky volley from las cannons, which that also got changed in some of the weapon rules. Every change I'm seeing feels like it was a balance change and not a gameplay improvement change.
Well, here's my question to you, Gabe. Heresy 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
What addition is that mostly resemble?
7th Ed.
Okay. 2.0.
So
What does 2.0 resemble? If you would have to throw it into a category.
well, so it was still 7th Ed rule set.
Mhm.
Right. The big change we got from 1.0 to 2.0 was they removed Legion detriments, which you guys don't know anything about that life. They removed Legion detriments and they added the reaction mechanic, which I'm a huge fan of the reaction mechanic. I like that a lot more than I like the 40k stratagem mechanic because I feel like 40k has this mentality of gotcha, whereas Horus Heresy has this, hey, I have an advanced reaction, and if you don't bother learning those reactions, you're going to have a gotcha moment on accident. There aren't as many catches because there aren't as many different factions or things like that. So I like the reaction process more than I like the stratagem process. So 2.0 was still very, very close to 7th Ed. The rules were still almost identical to 7th Ed. And from what I've seen of these drops right now, we're still getting that 7th Ed feel, but we're getting brand new detachments that feel a lot like 8th Ed 40k.
That's what I was going at, because when I started playing Warhammer in general, I started 8th edition. Dabbled in 8th edition. I really got into it 9th, and then from then till now. But I remember these force organization charts in fucking 8th, and that's what I was just getting. Are we just going from 7th to 8th edition? Just like hopefully it's a little bit better and a little bit more
So
well made, I guess, this time.
So the detachments, let me finish going through the detachments, and then I want to get into some of the other rules that are out there so that I can explain how it is kind of like 8th, but not quite. So one of the new additions that, man, a lot of people are not going to like this. You have now what are called prime detachments. Prime detachments you can only take if certain battlefield roles are met. So
Are
like
those primes? Are these the ones that I'm seeing? I think are called prime slots.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the way prime slots work, if I've read it the way that it's come across, you can only take prime slots if you have a logistical benefit that allows you to take one. So basically, you have to take a Centurion in order to bring one of the prime slots. Like you can't. So the days of being able to bring 3, 4, 5 dreadnoughts in a list and a talons are gone. Right, so you have to bring dreadnoughts one at a time. You have to bring tanks one at a time. Squadrons are gone. You have to one at a time this. And so what ends up happening is you have to pretty much bring a Centurion for every dreadnought that you're going to bring. And so the dreadnought spam got fixed because now you have to bring, stuff that lets you take these prime slots. Now,
So
the problem
would not a dreadnought be considered a a command?
no.
Does it say that? I mean, I'm thinking like from I don't want to go too deep into it, but from a lore perspective, they don't they aren't like commanded. They're said, there are the enemy, let's go, and then they go and do what they want to do.
Okay, so
Right?
dreadnoughts still fall into the command structure. Right, dreadnoughts don't get to just go do hood rat shit with their friends. They still have to follow command structure, right? You have to remember a dreadnought.
I mean, from what I understood, they just said like,
So,
here you
guys,
go,
our
ancient
humor
one.
of
Here are
what
the
y'all
bad
hear
guys.
is us trying to hold back from the late night shenanigans of the hood rat shit that we want to talk about. We're still trying to keep it podcast appropriate.
So dreadnoughts. Let's talk about what a dreadnought is for one quick second. A dreadnought is a space marine that got the shit kicked out of him to where he woke up and they're like, yo, dog, it's either wheelchair life or dreadnought life. Right. The amount of damage a space marine has to take to be entombed in a dreadnought is catastrophic. You're basically going to be dead, and the dreadnought becomes your sustaining sarcophagus. As crazy as that is to say, like, it is a sarcophagus that's keeping you alive, and it just happens to be weaponized. Those dreadnoughts still fall into a command structure. There are some outliers where there were commanders that became dreadnoughts. There's few and far between. Salamanders actually have one that's playable. It's pretty dope. What you have to keep in mind, though, is dreadnoughts still fall into the command structure. They're still part of companies, part of sub-chapters. They're still part of the integrated portions of the Legion, right? So they're part of the field strategy. So they do take up a different organization slot, even in the sense of a traditional Legion roster.
And that's one thing that's really cool that I find, that if we find a positive in this command structure, is the command structure is actually really lore accurate. Like, from my point of the primary detachment, when we're talking about how do they what is it, high command or stuff like that, those are the guys that are going to be leading the actual, like, in the stories.
So this is something really, really cool that you guys are going to like quite a bit. Primarchs are high command.
That would make sense.
Right. So the reason that's awesome is because that means Primarchs are no longer a Primarch only slot. They might be. I'm hoping that they're not.
I'm hoping they're not. I'm hoping you can take your Primarch and it counts as your, hey, you got to take a HQ choice. You don't have to take a fucking Praetor or a whatever again. If that's the case, no. I'm excited.
I had to just continue reading, scratch everything I just said. They are still
hate you so much.
A warlord detachment. So
I hate you so much. You basically had me so happy, and then you just crushed all of it.
Fight me, nerd. So to go back just a second. So a standard battle company was a command squad with a captain, a selected number of squads, and then they had a certain number of dreadnoughts attached to those companies. So definitely they were still part of the fold. But yes, with the new force organization chart, Primarchs still have their own thing. And the most important difference is they can only be taken in armies that are 3,000 points. And they fall under what's called a warlord detachment.
I'm kind of reading some scratch notes here, and I do see warlord as a thing, and it says the 18 Primarchs and a few other powerful warlords. No army may spend more than 25% of its points limits on the unit with either the warlord or the Lord of War battlefield role.
Okay. So one thing I am going to say right now, Games Workshop, if you're listening, I want you to know from the center of my core that I hate you for this. Not because Primarchs are a special detachment, whatever else, because they added the caveat of the Primarch and his unit. That is stupid. If I take a transport, I can't afford half the Primarchs now. It's the same problem we had in 2.0. If you take Porter Rabo and you try to give him the Iron Circle, you can't afford it. If you take the Lion and you try to give him some Knight Cenobiums or something else, he can't afford it. They go over the 750 points you're going to see in a 3,000 point game. The fact that you made that part of the detachment rule, that if the Primarch takes a retinue or takes a transport, it counts toward the Lord of War points, that's stupid. Now, I'm not so mad about it. I'm not going to play the game. I mean, obviously, I'm still going to play Horus Heresy, but that is a very stupid thing to do because it all you're doing is killing the creativity of certain armies. Now, it's not worth losing sleep over, but it's irritating.
The only thing I don't get is I'm looking at some of these detachments, and I'm looking at the Warlord detachment, where I think that's where you get your Primarch or whatever. But then I see
Correct.
Lord of War detachment, and it has 2 symbols, like you're going to be able to take 2 of them.
Yeah. So okay. So things to know. This is the same as 2.0. This is a distinction that you have to kind of keep in your head. So in 2.0, you could take a Primarch and you could take a Lord of War, but they both counted toward the 25% point limit. So with that being said, there is a world where you can take a Primarch and a Lord of War. It just doesn't exist at 3,000 points.
Yeah, but that's why I'm also looking at this Lord of War detachment. It doesn't have the Primarch thing. It just has 2 freaking Lord of War symbols on it. But I guess the more points you play, the
Yep. So honestly, the detachment rules and everything else, and this is where these leaks are really one of those like more frustrating things. And this is where I want everyone to kind of keep an open mind. We don't know where units fall in the organization yet.
true.
Yeah, because I was about to say I'm looking here and it says heavy support would be dreadnoughts and other war machines, but right now heavy support is also like las cannons. But it's
Correct.
in the heavy support or tactical support now. So las
Right.
cannon would
So
be tac support.
right. So we don't actually know where everything's going to fall. So we don't know how weird or not weird these detachments are. We're taking it as face value as people that have seen this shake up before from 7th to 8th and then 8th to 9th and then even 9th to 10th. There's going to be some guys watching this that are low key freaking out. And they're the veterans from 7th Ed when there were actually these special, what do they call them? The formations. There are guys low key having heart attacks right now because they're seeing this as a new form of formations. Dude, formations were horrible. I'm hoping they're not going to do anything like that, but this is a more freelance building kind of idea. You have more flexibility. You can build the Legion however you want to, lean into your crazy a little bit more. You guys have heard me say that before. The power curve in Horus Heresy is not that they FAQ all the rules. It's that if you're going to bring something crazy, I can lean into my crazy. If you want to bring word bearers with 20 Gal Vorback and run at me, that's perfectly fine. I'll bring Dark Angels with 40 Interrupters and just burn them all alive. Right? Everyone can lean into their crazy. I think these new detachments let you lean into your crazy.
I don't know, man. My crazy is taking a Primarch that actually counts as my freaking compulsory HQ or whatever you call it, so I don't have to take another one. That's my crazy. Is that too much to ask? GW?
Everybody watches different porn, Christian. I don't know what to tell you.
So shame over here, okay?
So moving on from there, do you guys want to go over the weapons or do you want to go over the Saturnines?
I vote on the Saturnines. Let's give the people what they're gonna get out of that box set, so they have something to look forward to buy. Because, man, I feel like unless we have every single detail of what certain armies are gonna do, the rules are just going to look a bit lackluster to us. I don't know if that's just me,
I mean,
but
so from someone who wasn't very knowledgeable on what you needed to build a list before, does coming from that perspective, does this make it easier to understand how to build an army? Like, did they make the entry into it easier for new players,
I
or
don't
did they
know.
just or did they just fuck it up? Like, that's the big question: is the people who are used to it are gonna be like, oh, they fucked it all up, but the people who don't know anything, they can come in and be like, oh, I get it now, because World of Warcraft did the same thing.
That's that's starting from a logical fallacy. And so everyone who's used to the old school is going to be like, oh, they fucked it up. It's ruined. It's ruined.
It's
Right.
ruined.
Right. They're going to say that. I think what it comes down to is a new perspective. You're always going to jump into it with, oh, so these are the rules. And you're just going to go from there. I don't think they necessarily ruined it. I think that they're providing a lot of options so that you can play your Legion however you're wanting to play your Legion. If you're wanting to build that army of all guns, you can. If you want to deep strike everything, you can. I think that's what they're trying to address, is they're just trying to get past that hump of, we want to make the game to where everyone can play it the way they want to play it. Now, there is probably a little secret button in the back where they're just like, if we do this, we'll sell more models. Let's not lie about it. That's what Games Workshop's known for. Right? There's only 3 facts in life right now about this edition that I can tell you without having to make a second guess out of it. Everything in this new box is going to be brutally crazy, over the top strong. Because it's the new hotness. It's always the new hotness. With 2.0, Imperial Fist and Sons of Horus got a ton of love. Why? Because they were the poster boys on the box. Right? Everything in that Age of Darkness box, I've said it before, I'll say it again, everything in that box was viable. I think you're going to see the same thing here. We can't draw a realistic conclusion of how easy or not easy, or how new player friendly or not new player friendly it is, until we see the breakdown of units in the core. Now, on my experience, I think it's going to be equal parts more complicated unit wise, but less complicated army composition wise, because you're no longer dealing with compulsory units. That's a big thing. Like, if you guys remember, the entire purpose of us starting to do this whole podcast is I wanted to explain that craziness. If y'all remember that, it's like, oh, compulsory unit is a troop choice that has line, isn't a support squad, but also has the compulsory keyword, but compulsory is not in the actual Liber Astartes or Liber Hereticus anywhere. So it's actually your assault squads, your tactical squads, your despoiler squads. And then if you were in the different kind of Rite of War, you could take Indominus Terminators as line, and they became a scoring unit and a compulsory unit under this one Rite of War. It was super confusing.
And then you know what I asked him, guys, when I was a new player? What 8 books are you talking about? Or what book do I find this in? You had me at
right.
So Liber Astartes.
Right. So I think it will be easier overall. That's the overall synopsis. What can complicate it is if every single special unit in the army, like, okay, so let's look at Iron Warriors, for example. Iron Warriors have Iron Havocs that are currently a heavy support squad, and they have Siege Tyrant Terminators, which are also a heavy support choice. Right? Okay. Well, if one of them falls under regular troops, and then the other one falls under shock assault, and then their iron circle Domitars fall under like command under retinue, that's where it's going to get complicated. That's what's going to throw people off on the list building, in my opinion.
Now, I will say that at the bottom here, it says there's still more to see, including allies from other factions and special themed detachments for individual legions. So that may be part of like a special themed detachment for that legion.
Well, so the way that they, if I remember reading it correctly, is that these small detachments that we have, like this primary detachment and whatever and all this, these don't say you have to take them as your main army. You could fill, if it's a different detachment, like, okay, so we have our prime the way that I'm reading it, if this is your primary detachment, it says high command troop, and you attach another detachment to it, you unlock that attachment somehow. It does not have to be all Iron Warriors. The other detachment that you attach to your primary detachment can be another loyalist faction or traitor faction. So they're allowing you to take little detachments of different armies or allies
Yeah,
to make your big army.
It's making your army a Swiss Army knife. You can pull out any
Mhm.
kind of attachment you want, which again, I'm going to hold reserve. Like this is one of 3 things that I'm iffy about. Actually, I'm not going to say that. There's one thing that I can tell you right now I outright hate. But I'm still like holding judgment back until I see the books to see how crazy the breakdown is of the units.
I mean, I'm just saying that if they make it easier for me to bring 60 Astra Militarum guys for my 1,000 Suns to blow up on, to use their perils on, I'm happy about that. I'll take that.
Well, see, in
We're
my boat,
assuming.
I like the concept that I will get to bring more squads. As someone who has 120 built tactical marines, I kind of want to field 120 tactical marines, and I might be able to do that. Now, so talking about the new hotness, a model that doesn't have any rules in 2.0. Let's talk about Saturnines. So Saturnines are just super Terminators, but I don't know how to describe them other than they look like mechanical deviled eggs.
They look like the aliens from Fifth Element.
Yeah, they definitely do, and I'm planning on painting at least 3 of them up that way.
Multipass.
Pass. So, but some new things came out about the Saturnine Terminators. So if you guys remember when the new box dropped, I was like, man, those kind of look like disintegrator guns. I was like, those really look like disintegrator guns. And I remember specifically saying the words, oh, that's a new kind of plasma. I bet it's going to be a macro something or another plasma. Do you
I
guys
bet it's gonna
remember
be
having?
twin.
Do you remember what I said? It's going to be some kind of macro plasma something, right?
Well, it's always gonna be some sort of new hotness that is somehow bigger than what we usually had. So yeah, we're probably looking at like a heavy disintegrator, or heavy plasma, or some heavy something.
So this is going to
So,
be twin linked. When they have 2 of them, it's going to be called a twin.
But see, those are 20s though. Those are tens. Those are tens right there. Those are tens.
those tens. So the new rules that dropped essentially is that Saturnines can take 1 weapon and a power fist, or they can take 2 weapons.
Man,
The weapons they can take are called a plasma bombard or twin heavy disintegrators.
Twins.
twin.
Twins, Basil.
Now, they can take
Basil.
these. So here's where it gets even crazier.
I named this one Fook Me and that one Fook You.
So you can take them in singles or doubles.
Now, when you say singles or doubles, you mean
I can take
left hand, right hand?
Yes, so you can take a
Okay.
plasma bombard and a power fist, or you can take 2 plasma bombards.
It looks like you could take a plasma bombard and a disintegrator.
You can. Now, let me tell you why. Without knowing more about the Saturnines, I am going to be on this plasma like crazy.
Barrage?
Yes. So
I was about to say it says bombard. I was like,
Yeah.
is there some sort of template?
So the plasma stuff, the way GW describes it is plasma supremacy, which we're not going to elaborate on that because I know you 2 idiots. So basically, it gave the barrage weapon type to these plasma bombards, so you can fire them indirectly.
I hate indirect. I'm just gonna say this out loud. Like every time I hear the word indirect, I'm just all like, I personally don't like indirect fire. I get it; it's
That's
cool, but
that's your 40K mind itching at you.
no. That's just indirect in general itching at me. That's not. That's I don't like bombard. I use them. Doesn't mean I like them, but if I hate them, I'm gonna use them against you.
It's okay to be wrong. So, heavy disintegration these twin heavy disintegrators are apparently high strength with crazy, crazy AP, and they work against dreadnoughts and tanks. But what's crazy is it says the words multi-role in the very next line, where they can take disintegrators and bombards and whatnot. So I'm wondering if they're going to give these things split fire.
Considering as
it's
these are
talking
some
about-
big. Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
These are Terminators, so it's a squad of 3.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I mean, I see what you mean. Yeah,
So
Yeah.
considering that these are the bigger
No.
Terminators and they move slowly, I could see these guys just getting multi-targeting, like, so they're
and
gonna be slow, right?
well, yeah, and having the indirect fire and some stuff like that. I guess what I'm most kind of curious about is why would you ever take an indirect fire weapon and a non-indirect fire weapon on the same model if you couldn't split fire?
right.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing is, and I could be wrong, it could just be that they're like, no, people like having options. I mean, why carry just a spoon when you can also have a fork? And I'm just like, why not have a spork? So I think what it's going to come down to is whether or not they have split fire. I already know that they're going to have their version of firing protocols, since you can have two weapons on the same model. I can't imagine that they would have given them the option to take a disintegrator and a plasma bombard and not giving them firing protocols to fire both weapons. I can't imagine where that's not a thing, especially when firing protocols made their way into siege tyrants, Locatarus, land speeders.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that these big lumbering deviled eggs do not have firing protocols, right?
So
For
now,
those guys who don't know what firing protocols is, before there's another question, firing protocols allows you to fire all of the weapons on a model. It doesn't allow you to split fire, though. So that's why I'm wondering if they're going to give them firing protocols and then their own special Saturnine version of Power the Machine Spirit that lets them split fire.
Mhm.
All I know for sure is they look beefy as shit, and the one with the twin plasma bombards looks like nightmare fuel.
So my
Yeah, I
question to
just want
you,
to point out
Gabe,
that these guns look so much bigger than those power fists. It looks awkward.
that's where my question's gonna go. Because I know everyone saw the Praetor, the Saturnine Praetor, and that motherfucker had his fist gauntlet with a double plasma on top of it. So what do these Saturnine Terminators get with their power fist? They have to have something on their power fist, right? Or
No, they won't have a weapon on their power fists. I don't
Scroll
foresee
down.
that because they're not modeled with it. The Praetors are modeled with it,
Yeah, those Praetors are. Yeah,
but
yeah.
the individual Saturnines probably won't. No.
No, this image right here looks
this?
like
Oh
a
yeah,
flame
no,
rod.
yeah. This image right here looks like it has plus a disruption fist with a particle shredder.
Yeah, those are the ones that are on the Praetors.
Look at the right under the triple where the 4s are. That has the bombard. It has the face. It has the disintegrator.
That power
bottom
fist
right
has something
picture,
on
the
it.
power fist has something on it.
Which model are you looking at?
And the Terminators, like, so you
So
got
you,
the White Scar Terminator, the 3 Salamander Terminator.
Oh, I see which one you're talking about now.
Yeah, that's a power
the
fist with something wrist mounted.
the underslung gun.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
I
why
don't,
I'm wondering what
I
would
don't, I don't
be
know.
on that.
Oh,
I
who knows?
don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, the Saturnines haven't been around since 1.0. They didn't get rules in 2.0 because Games Workshop fucking sucks. But yes,
As a matter of fact.
I will have all the hate in the world because I actually have like OG Saturnine Terminators that I haven't been able to play in like 5 years because Games Workshop doesn't like to give me cool toys.
I'm just saying, I'm also loving the image of that Iron Warriors paint job. That little snippet they did right there at the bottom of it. That looks amazing.
You mean hideous.
Yes, amazing. Right,
Yeah,
Kyle?
hideous.
Yep, So the other cool thing is they did make Saturnine Praetors which were a thing in 1.0. They're not a thing now. And the models are legit. They're so cool.
They are,
There's one with
yeah.
a thunder hammer. There's one with a big ass power axe. I think these are going to be great models. They're going to be great additions to any army. They're going to be a lot of fun. Until we see actual rules. Now, there were some other combined leaks. We know confirmed Saturnine Terminators are 3 wounds. We
Wow,
know
I wonder
it.
how many points they're going to
Crazy.
be.
My money says a 3-man squad will be 300 points base. If
So
I were a
looking at
betting man, I would
the
say 100.
sprue
I would say 100 points of Marine base.
I'm looking at the sprue and it has hands. Like the tips of the power fist are a separate piece so that you can mold or you can pose the hand how you want.
Mm-hmm.
Opened or closed. That's really cool. And it makes me wonder. I see the gun that's in the picture on the sprue. So
So just so everyone knows what we're reading from, we're all taking a look together at the Warhammer
yeah, links are in the
community site.
description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're just going off first reactions of what we see here, and so that we could all look together. So you don't have to
So
go searching.
yeah, links will be in the description for the video. Not a problem there. They'll be available for everyone to go look at in the order that we discussed them. Even what I'm most worried about with these Saturnines is one, the point cost. I think they are going to be 100 points a model before upgrades. They're going to be steep. The second thing I'm worried about is that sprue looks like a nightmare.
That that was my next thought was, oh my god, I don't even know where to start.
That looks like, and this has been a recent trend of Games Workshop since Heresy dropped. They've made the sprues more and more complicated. So those are going to be really eventful to build. But I'm super excited to get some of them built. I'm super excited to paint some of them up as Fifth Element aliens. It's going to happen. Y'all can hold me to that. It's going to happen. I'm going to put them in a little display case above my table.
Yo, the sprue for the Praetor has with the hammer has the little rock formation that he steps on.
Yeah, that's another thing that with Games Workshop that's really been an aggravating point for me. They've incorporated basing into their models now, and as someone who believes in the hobby aspect of like basing your models, it's fucking annoying. I understand that it looks really cool. He's propping his leg up on a piece of terrain or something like that. It really sucks when you have custom bases and you're trying to model some models. I'm not gonna like actually bitch about it, but I'm gonna low key bitch about it.
Yeah, right.
It's a first world
Tell me how you
problem
really
for
feel,
sure.
Gabe.
It's a first world problem for sure. Like I know some guys are like, oh yeah, it's on a little cool little Celtic rock. It looks great, and I'm over here just like, how am I gonna make this work with mud? God damn it! Like so.
I guess I'm gonna have to find some kind of world eater body to fit under his foot.
Dude, the number of times I've done that, the number of times I've done a commission for somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I want this commander. And I'm like, but I did like this kind of basing with it and I don't have anything to prop his leg on. And I'm like, well, looks like he's getting a body. You know, I'll just go grab one of my dead body models. I'll throw it on the base. He's propped up on a leg there. I'll try to do some stuff with it. And then before you know, like you're in a tournament somewhere and you're playing against a 1,000 Suns player. And he's like, why is there 1,000 Sun under the boot of your Praetor? There, now you have a frenemy. Good job. So yeah, these are going to be kind of rough.
I don't know about this power pack that they got on their back though.
Dude, the amount of armor that they are schlepping around requires a massive power source.
I mean, there's not a single picture of the back of one of these things. I think they're going to look stupid.
Hey, and there's a lot of people who think they look stupid right now. There are a ton of OG players. They're like, look at fucking Captain Shoulders over here. Yeah, 1,000%, bro. 1,000. There's
and
actually
so they get that bombard on their fucking. They're like, hey, these things are pretty cool. Let me get some of these.
Now I'm going to share with you guys an artwork that is going to crack y'all up. And Kyle, I need you to put this in the video.
Oh,
right?
I will. Word.
So there's an artwork. I'm about to send it to you. There's an artwork that shows an old school Saturnine because they used to have the weapon on their back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right.
I bet they had some mega blind spots though.
Right. So there's a parody. So I just sent you the picture of where like it's this Terminator walking into the hall, just opening up with this assault cannon.
It's like a War Machine assault cannon.
And so somebody took that exact same one and they were like, look at these retarded shoulders. And they put in this copy of it where they extended the shoulders down to where look at this big sarcophagus. And like I'm hoping you guys are gonna be able to watch this video and see these two art side by side because they're the same art, but one's like colorized. It's so dumb. This is how people think of Saturnines. They're like, oh, these models are so stupid, they're so derpy. I love them. I love them so much.
I mean, they are derpy, but yeah.
I think I want to try to model it with the upper mount. See if I could get one of the guns to go there because I'm probably gonna play it as a power fist, and I'm not gonna probably go double gun. I'm probably gonna do power fist and gun. That's usually how I like to run some stuff. I want to see if I can make it look right while mounting it on the top shoulder between the shoulders.
I mean, it'd be cool if you could run like a weapon instead of just a power fist.
All right.
Oh, they're not power fist; they're disruption fists.
Yes, they're gonna hit harder
With
than regular power
optional
fists.
particle shredders. So that I guess that's what that wrist mounted gun is. It's a particle shredder.
Neat.
Man, we should learn how to read. You know, that'd make life so much easier.
Hey man, I think everybody deserves surprises, even our listeners. So we've got time to cover one more topic, and it's a coin flip. We can either discuss actually it's a three-part because there are some other leaks that came out. So we can either discuss how vehicles work, which because that got a new thing. We can talk about the rapiers and the tarantula turrets that got released, which those actually went on pre-order though the weekend that we're recording this.
Yeah, so they'll know exactly how unwanted those tarantula missile turrets are.
Or we can discuss how actual weapons work in this edition, like guns.
Let's do the weapon changes.
I know that Christian wants to go over the tarantula for some reason. I'm saying weapons.
Let's do both. The tarantulas.
Okay. I said we'll do tarantulas first. Okay. So GW released some new tarantulas, and they released some rapier batteries. Cool, we covered those. Moving on.
All right. Now, for the uninitiated, let's explain why we're not excited about these tarantula missile turrets.
I'm excited for them. They look cool. They might be useless, but they look cool. You know, hopefully GW throws us a fucking bone, and you know they're actually somewhat decent.
So the reason why tarantulas are not like a talking point, which they may have modified them in this new edition, and they might be viable, we'll have to wait and see. But the main reason why there wasn't a huge like resurgence of people that are like, oh my god, new tarantula turrets. The only people wanting them want them as terrain.
Mission objectives.
Could they deep strike this edition? No one takes them. I'm like, I know we play this edition. I've never seen anyone take.
No,
take
because
them.
because in the sense of things that are more reliable than tarantula turrets, right? Let's see. Drinking water from Mexico. Shitting in your hands and clapping.
Now explain why they suck this bad.
So the reason they suck is because they deploy out with the army, right? They follow normal deployment. And then they're hamstringed. They're hamstringed in two fronts. They're hamstringed once because they must always shoot at the closest enemy unit. The second thing is they were like ballistic skill too. So when you would go to mess with like a tarantula turret, you would be hitting on like 5s at the closest enemy unit. And one of the coolest things they released now in the tarantulas is they're like, hey, they made a Volkite tarantula, and they made like a Meltagun tarantula, I think. They made a few different tarantulas. They made a Volkite. They made a
Do we have the rules for these or
a
no?
Melta. No, that's the big problem. So
Yeah.
the new thing is they have the I guess you'd call them the Borealis missiles, which are the surface to air missiles. They have Meltaguns now. They have the missile batteries. They have the heavy bolters like they've had. They have the las cannons like they had. All of those are still out there. Upsides to a tarantula turret is they were a fast attack choice, but they were ballistic skill too. You were hitting on 5s, and they were a fast attack slot. And the rule that they had was actually called sentry protocols, which meant that they had to target the enemy unit that was closest to them and in line of sight. So it was like, man, you could. So say you do get the new Volkite ones, and they keep the rules the way they are right now with these sentry protocols. The reason why nobody's excited about them is because they'll just run up there with a Rhino and be like, okay, cool, shoot him with your Volkite. Take your time. Hope you get lucky on a 6.
See, but we're still going off of the rules that we have right now, and it
Right.
did say
And
that it's going to have new rules, free to download from the Warhammer community. I'm just I want to see how GW actually takes it and see if they go with how they wrote this out and basically forward deploying models that could be dropped before the battlefield even begins, placed by fast servo haulers, and they speak of them as a reconnaissance force. So
it's a possibility,
you
and
know,
it is possible. Um, I guess what's weird, I can't imagine they're going to make them well enough to where they'll be usable still. Like, I still think it's going to be one of those things where, yeah, if you got 40 points, 50 points laying around, buy a sentry turret, right? But I don't think it's going to be something where it becomes a linchpin of your army. I
I don't
don't
think
think
it'll.
it's going to be the new Dreadnought. I think it'll be like it would be cool if it was a little bit better. It's going to be the same argument that we have with, say, like Charybdis assault claws are the perfect example of this. Charybdis assault claws, they're Doom footballs, right? They land, they can hold people in them like a drop pod, they float around the battlefield and they shoot missiles and they do a bunch of stuff. Everything is just cool enough to be exciting, but just bad enough to not be worth the points.
Did the old
That's what
ones used to have indirect fire?
the old tarantulas.
Yes. I think
Mm,
we covered this. You said no. These sound like they have indirect fire.
so okay, you're reading into it in a very specific way. They didn't have indirect fire because they only had 3 weapon types.
Yeah.
So with the new turrets that are out, they now have different forms of rockets, right? So you had the Hyperios, which are your Skyfire rockets, and now it looks like they have a normal rocket, which may be a barrage weapon. So that's why they're saying, like, oh, they have indirect fire now. It's probably one profile that has indirect fire. I can't imagine where Games Workshop would be so amazing as to say, I'm going to give you indirect fire las cannons.
Well, no, I'm not going off that because I don't see
Yeah.
las cannons in these pictures. We just see missiles and something that kind of looks like a missile barrage profile that
You should
says
scan through the pictures.
I'm just going off the ones off the Warhammer community where it's just this. I haven't seen the ones with the.
There's an arrow there for you to scan through. So there's the first image is the Hyperios missiles, which are the Skyfire ones that we've had. The second profile are the Meltagun turrets. Those are new. The third, it almost looks like a whirlwind turret. That is also new. The next one are the heavy bolters, which we've had. The next one after that is a mix of them, and then the last one are the las cannon ones.
Okay, I see
Because
what you're talking about now.
yeah.
We're
So
looking at different pages.
yeah,
Yep.
because here's the other thing is as of this weekend, the June 14th, 15th, the Rapier batteries and the new Tarantula Sentry guns went on pre-order. Now, everyone, please excuse me. I'm going to lose my shit for a second, okay? Why in the seven hells would you pre-order a model that's already goddamn terrible ahead of the rules drop? It could be because they're good now. I like Rapier battery crews. You guys know that I love Rapier battery crews. I think they're going to be great no matter what. I don't know why they pre-released these Sentry guns. We made the joke last time when they were doing the Heresy Thursdays. They were like, hey, here's an Arvis Lander. And we're like, neat. No one plays with Arvis Landers.
Who
And then
asked for that?
yeah. And then the very next one, they're like, yeah, take a look at these new Sentry turrets with missiles now. And I'm like, who gives a shit? They hit on fives. Who cares? They might be good now. I don't know. And then maybe they could have some new defense line thing where they link up with something else or do something else. I don't know, man.
When
It's
are
Games
these coming
Workshop.
out again?
Next week, I believe, or 2 weeks. 2 weeks from this weekend, probably. So they'll be out probably beginning of July.
Because people are speculating that the middle of July or the end of July is when the new edition will be dropping with those boxes.
Those
So it's just kind of
possible.
weird that they would come, like you said, come out with these and then like, I mean, it's not that weird if you think about it. That GW has made codexes that have came out for less than a month and then dropped a new edition afterwards, and your codex is like gone. So
Yeah, but this is like next level kind of dumb because it's like, hey, you know that unit that no one ever took? You know that unit that no one has, like, you've never seen at any major anything? Like, I've gone to Adepticon for years, and never at Adepticon did I see Tarantula Sentry turrets. I've only seen them playing against one of my really good friends, Lance. Is the only person I ever saw playing them, and I was like, dude, Tarantula Sentry turrets, that's a choice. You know, it wasn't a jab or a stab at him. It was just like Sentry turrets. He's like, yeah, I had this many points left over, so I was like, oh, I have Sentry turrets. I'll play those.
well,
Like,
from a Zoolander approach, how did you expect to see them if they don't come out until 2 weeks from now, Gabe?
because las cannon turrets already existed. I didn't
kidding,
need
Gabe.
I didn't need new iterations of stuff I already didn't like. And it's not to say that they're not good now. Again, I don't know the rules. For all I know, they're going to come out and they're going to be like, hey, you know, Sentry turrets have preferred enemy anything Gabe plays.
I mean, that's only if Seth is running the tournament.
Yo, shots fired.
Shots fired. So
I like Seth
So
though.
I have a question and I have a observation.
okay.
Question one, that second row of Tarantula turret pictures. Is that plasma? The purple ones.
The purple ones.
With the blue eyes.
No. So those are Volkite.
Yeah, that's Volk.
Oh, okay. Volkite. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I see it now. Okay.
Yeah. Which kind of exciting, kind of cool. You know, we're gonna get Volkite turrets.
And this is showing my ignorance, and I admit it. What chapter is Fulgrim the Primarcha?
Emperor's Children.
I thought so. So those purple, the next row there, the purple Emperor's Children rapier battery crews, is that not an uncircumcised penis?
Which ones are you talking about?
The purple ones?
He's he's talking about the rapier battery ones, the purple ones.
I mean, does that not look like a V8 powered uncircumcised penis?
I'd have to see exactly which image you're
The
referring to.
So the Volkite ones are on a row. Go down another row to the rapier battery cruise, and then go over like 4 pictures.
Third row, the purple ones, Gabe.
Okay, all right. I know which one you're talking about. So let me talk about the Snuffleupagus gun.
It looks like, man, was that an Orgasmo? with the V8 powered dildo? Like, that's what that looks like. It's got this upside down with the balls in the back. Yeah.
So that is a conversion beamer. You sad sacks of shit. That's a conversion beamer.
It's beaming something, all right.
It's converting people, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a conversion beamer.
Kyle's like, cut it now.
I was like, what sentry gun are you guys talking about? And you're like, rapier batteries. I'm like, I already know what they're talking about.
Oh, look, there's Sons of Horus ones just below it.
Yeah, those are the twins. Those are the new rapier battery crews in plastic, finally, which I'm a fan of. Those are actually going to be really, really fun for a lot of armies.
Now, explain the reason behind the plastic being a big deal.
Okay. So, some of the guys who've been in the hobby for a while and you've dealt with GW for a few years, there's a unanimous truth, and that is that resin sucks. Resin, gluing it sucks, modeling it sucks, cleaning it sucks. Resin is exponentially harder. And on top of all of that, it's exponentially more brittle. It's more susceptible to falling, breaking, splitting. Even picking up your models, they're very susceptible to breaking. Right? Up until this new drop that's coming out, rapier battery crews have always been plastic. Or I'm sorry, resin. They've always been resin. The new kit is going to be plastic. The other thing that's kind of exciting about this is the gunners are going to be plastic. I have a bunch of rapier battery crews. Christian has a bunch of rapier battery crews. And those gunners have those little sights on their backpack.
Oh my god.
There's nothing that breaks more than that fucking lens on any other model other than the antennas on the front of a Javelin land speeder. Those stupid ass backpacks break so often. And you're essentially gluing back together pencil lead. Not number 2 pencil lead. I'm talking like 5mm pencil lead wide is what you're gluing back together.
Yeah, that's what happened at the tournament. You remember when that
Yeah.
it broke? And I was like, Gabe, it broke.
it broke. And I could have sworn in the back of the room I heard like, adult, I need an adult. Help me, Tom Cruise. Like, I could hear it. And I was like, it's fine. We can glue it. And I'm sitting here looking at this thing like, dude, I was like, I actually having to use my eagle vision to like re-glue this thing together. The fact that they're plastic now, they're not going to break as often, and they're going to be better detail. That's really cool.
They're just going to curve really weird sometimes, you know?
You know, some of these guns are ribbed for her pleasure.
Case in point.
But the fact that they're releasing them in plastic is really cool. The most important part of them reaching them in plastic is accessibility. You can now walk into your local game store and buy rapier batteries. If you plan on having the most useless gun platforms in the world, you can walk into your local store and buy Tarantula Sentry Turrets.
I hope you're so wrong, and I hope they're overpowered for like the few weeks that we still have 2.0 out until we switch to 3. And then when 3 hits, they just go back to being the same. I just hope that they're just stupidly overpowered.
I mean, that would be fun. and I have no problem being wrong about this. Like, I hope they come out and they're like, it has preferred enemy anything Gabe plays. It hits it hits on twos.
It hits Gabe's on one somehow.
Against any army played against a guy named Gabe. You get to reroll your ones. You have night vision, and you always seize the initiative. Like, I hope they are good, right? But my heart tells me they're not gonna be.
Shout out to Matt, our favorite orc boy out there. You just got to believe, Gabe. You got to believe like him. Okay? If you believe enough, it will happen.
Brother, send an 80s hair band concert. Like, I ain't believing in shit. I'll believe in the stat lines when I see them. That's kind of like there's some other stuff to be excited about that we'll cover in the next episode. I'm hoping that we can do the weapons and the tanks in the next episode. But
yep,
I like the fact that the torrential batteries are going to make really cool terrain. That's probably what I'm going to be excited about. Is I can kind of do like some defense of whatever or reenact some different things, and we can use them for some fun narrative stuff.
Because Gabe, you already know you're gonna have about, what is it? Is it only 1 or 2 per box?
You know? Realistically, now that we're talking about it and you guys are painting it in the lights that you are, I'm gonna have 100 of these fucking things with an entire army of just sentry battery guns. So I'm gonna go somewhere, people can be like, I heard you don't like sentry battery guns. Listen to your podcast. Be like, funny story, bro, about 110 of them.
Well, you're gonna get some of these in all the boxes you're gonna get, so I'm just like, you're gonna have them lying around if they're cheap enough.
That's actually an important distinction that I messed up on our first recording. The turret inside the starter box is not a Tarantula sentry gun.
Oh.
It is something different.
I thought this is what we were getting in the box, so that's why I was excited for it. Now that I know that we're not, then why are we talking about these things?
Hey, like I said, these things are going to be terrible. Probably they're probably not going to be good at all. That being said, they're like I'm
fuck these things.
I'm calling it now. I am calling it now. There are like 4 major games I go to every year. Right? We all know that I go to Adepticon. We all know that I go to Alamo GT whenever it's here. I'll be making it to War Games Con up in Austin, and I go to Warzone down in Houston, right?
Arachne Quad Accelerator Platform.
Oh, is that what that new thing's called?
Apparently.
It's another spider?
So, that being said, these games I'm going to go to, someone is going to listen to this podcast, and I'm going to show up, and it's either going to be Lance, or it's going to be Seth, or it's going to be Jack, or Calvin. Calvin's, he's shitty enough to pull this off. I'm going to show up and they're going to be like, here's my army. And I'm like, oh, what is it? They're going to be like, it's 90 sentry guns.
It's going to be Seth, man.
And knowing my luck, it'll probably
sentry guns.
Knowing my luck, it'll probably be Calvin. He's going to be like, it's 90 sentry guns and 5 Death Storm drop pods. So I don't know. Maybe they are going to be good. Maybe they're going to be fantastic. Who knows? All I know for sure. Like all I know for sure is it is a new thing, and it got released with Rapier batteries, so they're taking it somewhat seriously. We'll wait and see what it does. But that's all we can do. We wait and see.
Yep. Until next time, and then we could go ahead and talk about the weapon changes.
Yeah, I guess next episode we'll cover the weapon changes, the new vehicle and Titan rules.
Yeah, for all 30 of you that play Titans.
I will strike you, sir.
There are dozens of us.
Let me tell you what, there's mighty powerful.
There's me and that guy.
so be careful. Be careful. This is one of those things that like I'll get a lot of smoke for. There's casual Titan owners. Like me, a couple of my friends like Josh and Zach, like a couple other guys, we have Titans and we're like, oh yeah, they're really cool if you want to play with them and do some cool stuff. They're neat, right? Then you have the Titan Owners Club, which the Titan Owners Club, I'm not knocking them, but they feel a certain kind of way about themselves. There are a lot of Titan owners out there. They just don't ever show up to play anything. Dude, it's like okay, it's like dealing with Anonymous. You know they're there, and you know that they do stuff. You've just never seen it in person.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, like I see these posts on Facebook where they're like, "Oh yeah, Titan Owners Club, we're doing a Titan walk this weekend." I'm like, "Cool, where?" It's almost like Fight Club, man. You don't know where, when, how, nothing. They don't say anything. They're just like, "Oh yeah, we had a Titan walk." Okay, neat. I don't know what you plan to get out of a Titan walk that no one knows about. And then it turns into like a treehouse kind of thing where they're like, "Oh yeah, you have to know the secret password to join the Facebook group, and then once you're in the Facebook group, we tell you where the Titan walks are." I'm like, bro, if you're taking it that serious, I'm not sure we're gonna enjoy playing each other anyway. Because
Make sure
I
you bring
take
your certificate of authentication.
well, so and that's the other thing too. Like, in order to join the Titan Owners Club, you have to have a certificate of authenticity. And I'm a different kind of Titan owner in the sense of, like, you guys have seen me do this before where I will show up and we'll be playing in a Titan fight. Actually, our buddy Justin saw me do this at Adepticon. I was there and I was like, "Okay, let's do it all, blah, blah, whatever. We're playing the game." They're like, "We need a War Master." And I got picked to be War Master. And I was like, "Okay, no way I'm wrangling these fucking cocaine squirrels and playing 4 Titans. There's no way." Because I love the Adepticon crew, but there's a few of them that when they get nice and riled up and they get a good amount of bourbon in their system, dude, it's like chasing a wombat on cocaine. It is a different kind of fight.
Shit, I'm talking about Gabe at Last Lake Hammer.
I was more of like a drunken buller is what I was last Lake Hammer. So what I'll do is I'll go to events and I'll have like these quick cards that I've printed out, and I'll look at somebody and be like, "Hey man, what'd you bring?" They're like, "Oh, I brought some tanks." I'm like, "Cool, here, have a Titan." And I'll just let them pilot my Titan. I don't care. Like, because I think the reason why I feel safe doing that with a Titan, but I don't feel safe doing that with my army, is if you give somebody an army, they're like, "Oh yeah, cool, I've messed with these minis all the time." You give somebody a Titan, all of a sudden it's a fucking infant. They're afraid to hold it. They're afraid to touch it. They're afraid to move it.
Hey, that's me.
Yeah, I know they're not going to break it. They'll just be like, "Okay, I'm going to go shoot at these other Titans," and they'll have the big templates. They'll be having a great time. It's fantastic. So definitely, I'm excited about the Titan changes, and we'll go over that in the next episode. It'll be fantastic. So wrapping up this one, and then I'll give a kind of a breakdown of what we're going to get into next episode. So, any last minute thoughts, feedback, any last minute jabs, I guess, at my unwarranted hatred of tarantula sentry guns?
I mean, it may not be a tarantula sentry gun. I'm just saying, arachne something.
Don't
Well,
know until we see the rules for them.
yeah, the one in the box, and that's one thing I cannot stress this enough. Everybody who's still watching this, listening, I'm hoping that you're enjoying the content that we're putting out. Something I want you to keep in mind is reserve your judgment until the rules drop. Until you have a book in your hand or you have a PDF in your hand, until you're able to read through the rules, try to reserve the judgment. I'm in the same boat. There's a lot of this. I looked at it, specifically the new dueling rules. I looked at those and I was like, wow, that reads like Taco Bell shits. I don't like that at all. Right? But I'm holding back because it all locks in together. I want to see what the game looks like as an overall spectrum. And that's what I want everyone to do, is look at it as a game from a whole, not individual snippets. Individual snippets don't ever paint enough of a picture for you to really gather how the game's going to go or how the new system's going to go. The second thing is, and this is probably what I most hate and love about this. If the rules are complete tits up crazy, we're all starting from the same level of stupid.
Correct.
if they flip the game up on end and they change everything in like some really crazy ways, but the gameplay is still really fun, it just put us all on even footing. Me being a multi-year veteran of playing the game, the guys who've been playing for 15 years or so on and so forth, guys that have years of hobby experience. I know that I picked up the game in 94. So I've been at this a while. My experience doesn't help me with a new edition. It helps me absorb the information faster because I'm used to reading codexes and following the line of logic and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to put everybody on an even foot. So keep an open mind. Wait for the rules to all drop. Read these leaks. Be excited about the game. I'm excited about 92% of what I've seen so far. Right? So keep an open mind.
And
Unless
always
it's about...
remember,
Go ahead.
when we're going through this, we're still going to play the game. We're also going to play the game because we love these war games. We love rolling dice with people. We love making new friends. We love just playing this amazing game. At the end of the day, when you hear our opinions, we're still excited for it. We're just rambling.
Yeah,
we're just letting it fly.
And I'm excited about pretty much everything except Tarantula sentry guns. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about what you guys are going to see in the future before we wrap this video. So we are going to have another recording where we're going to discuss some of the new weapons, some of the new vehicle and Titan rules, and we'll go over some of the close combat rules, like specifically the challenges and close combat weapons, the way initiative modifiers and stuff like that are going to work now. We are also going to give a breakdown of the legions. Now, this is a pretty big undertaking because the legions are huge and there's lots of information to break down about them. Some of the videos we're working on right now is basically giving you guys an overview of where the legions are in 2.0, a rough overview of how they play and how that translates to the game, and what different special units and commanders they can take. These are videos that are coming down the line. The most recent ones are going to be, the next one they're rolling out is going to be over the new 3.0 drops, some more of the leaks that we see. And we're going to get those Legion ones out pretty soon so that you guys that are trying to pick your first Legion to play the game can do so with, both eyes open, because there's a lot of guys, and it's a common struggle. You'll see it on every thread if you go through Reddit or Facebook, or if you're one of the people who's still on 4chan. If you read through all this stuff, people's first question is like, hey, I'm getting into Horus Heresy. What Legion should I pick?
I'm still doing that till this day. I'm trying to figure out which one I should stick with, and Kyle is still on 4chan. So, those are both facts.
I will have you know, I've never been on 4chan.
Kyle's like,
I tried it once and I said, that is too much tism for me. No, thank you.
No, Kyle popped in there. He was like, I have never been Clover classy, sir. No, thank you. So we're going to have some stuff out, and some of that's going to be the Legion stuff to help you kind of pick a Legion and see how they play and how they roll. There's a lot of guys out there that are like, man, I just want to run something and hit it with a stick. Man, I got a Legion for you. Hey, I like to build an impenetrable defensive line. I got a couple of Legions for you.
I want to win.
Do anything but Perils of the Warp. So
yeah, don't play Thousand Suns if you want to win. That's my thing. Don't play Thousand Suns if you want to win, because you just end up killing yourself.
So that's what we have coming down the future right now. As always, we're going to have a link to our Discord in this video. We're going to open that up to the public now that we've kind of have it a little bit more established. Throw some ideas of something you want to have us talk about, something that you want to have covered in a topic that maybe we didn't bring up, or maybe something for a future episode that's, lore based, game based wise, or if you want to know about some experiences or you want to hear about some events and things like that, feel free to share that with us, and we'll be more than happy to look into it and see if we can't cover it in a future video. Beyond that, Kyle, you have any exiting statements?
No, I hope you guys enjoy this this new episode, and I hope you stick around for our next ones because I'm putting a lot of effort into them.
Christian, you got anything for us?
No, just thank you for listening to us if you made it this long, and just always remember, don't take anything we say seriously. We're just a couple of guys rambling.
Yep, and I'll follow that and close this out. Just a bunch of guys sitting around having a drink, talking about what we like, what we're excited about, the things that bring us excitement every day. So thank you for spending some time with us on the channel, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
See ya.
Adios.